Hey guys, Joe here from Big Shark Gaming, and welcome to a new series for Big Shark Gaming. Just a series I just want to review things. We used to do this a lot with anime and games, but we want to kind of like broaden our horizons a little bit. So this week we're going to be reviewing the Netflix original series, which is called Stranger Things. Things is a science fiction, supernatural horror, mystery, and drama by the Duffer Bros that originally distributed and aired on Netflix. It takes place in a fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana, and is based in the 1980s, specifically 1983. There's 8 episodes, each lasting between 42 and 55 minutes, and the original airtime and release was July 15th, 2016. Right now, the show only has 1 season, but there is, a lot of rumors in regards to a second season, which will be coming out later this year. So let's get right into what Stranger Things is. Well, it's kind of like a monster alien-based show revolving around 4 young boys, which is Mike Wheeler, Dustin Henderson, Lucas Sinclair, and then Will Byers. Sorry, I forgot his last name for a second. And it starts off with these 4 boys. They're playing Dungeons and Dragons in Mike's basement. Well, it gets a little bit late, and then they got home. They live near like this government building where these government officials, they run like weird scientific tests, like we all imagine goes on like Area 51, and they use like electric and power trucks as if they were like an electric company. To like survey the area and stuff. So on that night, Will goes home and he crashes his bike because he sees a monster in the road. He runs home and he's running from the monster. He goes inside his shed and the monster appears behind him, and then Will goes missing. So the entire show is kind of like them looking for Will, as well as later on another girl named Barb. They introduce a few other characters, mainly Mike's sister Nancy becomes a main character, along with Will's brother, Jonathan, and Will's mom, who's played by Winona Ryder, Joyce Byers. The real head character, though, is Jim Hopper, which is played by David Harbour. He does most of like the heavy lifting in this show, and he does an incredible job just really portraying a sergeant of like a state trooper organization. I don't want to say they're kind of like the state troopers because they're really not. It's kind of just like a local police corps. But then they introduce this girl named 11 who has psychokinetic abilities. And at first, very limited vocabulary, but she starts like speaking more. And throughout the show, you learn more of her backstory. Somehow, she escapes the Hawkins laboratory, and where they like experimented on her and like to try to like test the limits of her powers and stuff. But she ends up being like kind of like a nuisance at some points, and then also at other points like the main crutch, where like Dustin, Will, and Lucas really stand upon. Lucas at first is really like skeptical of her, and she thinks she's weirdo and she's strange, and like it comes down to like even Will and Lucas getting into a fight where 11 uses her psychokinetic powers to push Will like 30 feet. It was fucking a far distance, which leads Will to like leaving the group for a little while. Later on, I see like her importance, especially with I think the monster is called a Demogorgon. So they realize that like the monster must be coming out of another dimension, and Winona Ryder's character Joyce is like seen to be absolutely batshit crazy because she's hearing Will talk. She sets up all these Christmas lights around her house because like when the monster's about to like come, or like someone's trying to communicate from the what is called the Upside Down, which is an alternative dimension where the monster lives, anything that has like electrical power will start fritzing out, especially lights. They'll start like blinking. So Joyce learns that she could write the alphabet on her wall and string up Christmas lights and be able to communicate with Will once she finds out that Will is still alive in the Upside Down. So the show is like really based upon them looking for Will, them finding out that there is an Upside Down, trying to keep out of getting caught by the Hawkins government, as well as rescuing Will. Nancy and Jonathan are like the first two to really like start combating the monster, and they even light it on fire and injure it, which they also were the first two people to go inside the Upside Down. They found like a hole in a tree, and Nancy went inside and she found Barb there. Unfortunately, Barb was dead at that point already, but they also realized at this point that the main catalyst for bringing the monster out of the Upside Down was blood. So they made a pact to summon the monster out, and they cut their hands, and they summoned the monster out, and they trapped it in a bear trap, and they set it on fire. This greatly injured it, but it managed to get back to the Upside Down. At this point, Jim Hopper and Joyce were in the Upside Down looking for Will, because they found the way into the Upside Down in the Hawkins little laboratory, and so they were looking for Will. They managed to find Will as the Demogorgon is coming back into his realm, and then they come back into the school where there's a whole bunch of like Hawkins government officials there, ready with guns, and they start combating and battling it out with the Demogorgon. Of course, like the kids were holding down the fort there because that's where like they knew they could bring 11 to put inside like this little like pool filled with crazy amounts of salt. I think it was like 1,500 pounds of salt to really amplify her power to communicate with Will on the other side. So finally, the monster is not able to be killed by these soldiers, and it has a face-to-face with 11. 11 sacrifices herself and her powers to destroy the Demogorgon, and all is right. So, you see them playing Dungeons & Dragons again. They're all reunited, and then later on at night, Will goes home, and they're having dinner. He's like, oh, I forgot to wash my hands. And he goes into the bathroom, and you see him like cough up this like larva, and it kind of leads into the fact that like when they found him, he was in some kind of pod with like this. I guess it was like kind of suction tentacle thing in his mouth. And it pulled it out, and it looked like that was like a monster in its own right. But at the same time, you don't know if that was like the Demogorgon's way of like reproducing and laying eggs. So this kind of alludes to the fact that like Will is either infested inside with the Demogorgon, or he's going to become the Demogorgon in season 2 himself. So what did I think about Stranger Things now that I just butchered a synopsis about the show? I actually thought Stranger Things was the best show that I've seen in a long time. They really did live up to the suspense aspects of the show. There was a lot of parts where like the kids were like hiding out from the government officials that were looking for them, and like you really, really like had that heart thing like, oh, I hope these kids don't get caught. There's a lot of elements in the show that really kept you like into it. They went long enough without showing the monster, but also they kept like the monster's appearances fresh and even scary at times. Like there was points where like it got a little jumpy, but not in the sense that it was like a jump scare. Oh, excuse me. Not in the sense that like it was a jump scare, but more in the sense that just like it was legitimately scary. And they brought out like what like triggers the monster to come out of the other realm. They covered the communications with the other realm, that it was real. They even had like a little bit of backstory about 11, which I felt like they kind of rehashed a little bit too much, to be honest. You learn a lot about 11, and you also learn a lot about like what she went through to get to that point. and sometimes I feel like they kind of over carried it. Um, I do feel that like Dustin was the most logical character, which is weird because he's meant to be like this silly character with like a lisp because he has cleidocranial dysplasia, which means that like his front teeth are not growing back in right away. Um, but he's actually the most logical character in the entire show. And I actually feel like he's the strongest character. I feel sometimes like Will gets a little bit whiny, and Lucas is definitely like the hothead of the group. Um, but they also keep rehashing like the should I stay or should I go now, um, which is kind of like you don't know what the key behind that is. Um, and I have to do research to find out if that song was even out in the 80s because I don't know if it was, and that would bother me if it wasn't out by 1983. But moving on, I felt like the drama of the show was right there. I felt like the suspense of the show was right there. It kept you wanting more. The monster was showed off just enough to not be like, "Wow, this is overkill." Um, they make you wonder like what's gonna happen now that like 11 sacrificed herself, and they kind of ruined it because they already announced in season 2 that like the person who played her character is already signed on for season 2. They already announced that, so like it makes you know that she's going to come back. She's not gone forever, but then they also like leave you wondering like what's going to happen with Will in the next season. We know that the next season takes place in 1984, which is 1 year later. So it goes to show that like a lot of time has transpired because 1 year in like a sense of this is a long time. Like who knows about what happened? Who doesn't know what happened? Who's trying to cover up what? So overall, I have to give Stranger Things an 8.5 out of 10. I really love the show. I really love the music. I really love like the action, the drama, the suspense, the horror behind it. But there were some things in the show that kind of bothered me. The rehashing of Eleven's constant backstory. I felt like that wasn't really necessary. They kept teasing like things with like Nancy and Jonathan, and they never like got to that point. They kind of like kept her boyfriend Steve in the picture. He went from like douchebag to hero character. He had like a revelation. But I really love the fact that they did catch the 80s as well as they did. You could really like submerge yourself and feel like you're in the 80s at this point of the show, and like they did a really good job. Even like down to the sneakers, like they had some like old school Nikes. Like you're just like, damn, like those shoes are like really old, and they did just a really good job capturing the feeling of that. But like there are some things wrong with the show. It does have a really dark backstory, which is great. But I feel like the things that like they were really obscure with the fact that Barbara was dead. They kind of just like show up for a minute, and it doesn't really show like the importance of why did Demogorgon go after her. Because that was the only thing that really got like Nancy involved. I think that was like all it was, and I feel like they could have got her involved in another way. They could have just got her involved with like her like interest in Jonathan. I felt like there were some characters that were wasted, and a lot of things that weren't covered. So the show's not perfect, but at the same time, it's still great, and I definitely recommend it. If you have Netflix, this is the only way you can watch it. Unfortunately, it's not available on Hulu. It's not available on any other like TV things. But if you're gonna get Netflix, especially like a 1 month free trial, then I would definitely recommend checking out Stranger Things. It's only 8 minutes. 8 episodes. You could probably watch it in a day or two. So definitely check it out, especially if you're into like suspense things. And it's so important to me that this is not fucking zombies because I'm so sick of zombies. It's alien-esque. It's not quite alien, but like at the same time it could be. What do I want in season 2? Well, I want to find out how did the Hawkins government get a hold of that portal that connects to the Upside Down. I want to know more about like the Demogorgon. Like where did it come from? Was it always there? Has it always been living alongside us? And we just never knew until we found the portal. And how come it doesn't come out of the portal in the like laboratory. We see it coming out of walls. We see it coming out of like the ground and stuff. And like, what really prevents it from escaping prior to like these events? Because obviously, like, if it's attracted to just blood, then shouldn't it have like been able to come out a long time ago and anywhere it pleases? Um, and I want to know what happens with 11. I want to know what's going on with Will, and I want to see like this is more of like just like a Dungeons and Dragons show. Like, let me know because that would be pretty cool. That's something that like, I can't think of ever been done before. And I've seen like Game of Thrones and like Westworld and these things were all like kind of just like based upon like RPG games and shit. But like, let me know. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to say my favorite character on this show was Dustin. I feel like he's the most underrated character, but the most logical. And I feel like even like despite the funny way of him talking, I feel like he really does a good job carrying himself. Winona Ryder's great in this. She does a really good job doing the fucking crazy thing. I guess because she is a little bit crazy, but she does a great job, and I really can't wait for season 2. Again, if you liked Stranger Things, comment down below. If you want to see another show for us to do, comment down below as well. If you want to recommend that or like a movie and for us to review, let us know. We're going to be reviewing TV shows, games, anime again, and movies as well. So anything you want us to get into this mix, just leave a comment section down below. Make sure you like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.